Previously on the Embracing the Journey podcast.
They don't know about our story. They don't know the things that we were up against. They don't know how we got to where we are.
We were born during the crack epidemic. Our house was the trap house. My mind took me back to 3 little boys sharing a bed, 2 at the foot, 1 at the head, running extension cords to the neighbors' houses. You know what I mean? Like, we literally didn't have a door. There was one place we lived where every time a neighbor would flush their toilets, sewage would come out of the floor. So when I look at something like Embrace the Journey, that's literally, I think, how we got here, was embracing the journey, not getting discouraged, not giving up on ourselves, but being able to tap into those moments. Because even if you don't remember the details, without knowing anything about what's going on at your house right now, I know your refrigerator is filled to the point of gluttony.
Oh, for sure.
Because we never had that.
All right, welcome back to Embracing the Journey podcast. I think I have a trauma block of things that have happened to me in the past, right? But what happens is I may not understand this situation, but the feeling that I'm getting is overwhelming to the point of like, we shouldn't go down that street, or we shouldn't go into this place, or we should watch out for this individual. So I don't get to enjoy certain moments where other people get to live carefree in. And I say that because we spend a lot of time in like Vegas, or we spend a lot of time in all these different places where, crime is probably at a high. I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy being around large crowds of people. I don't enjoy doing certain things because there's too many things that can go wrong.
We know that, and we've experienced it, and we didn't grow up in a civilian household. Like, my wife sometimes, like, when I pull up to a place, I'm circling the block.
For sure.
Why? Because that's what we learn, right? You don't just pull up nowhere and jump out the car. Circle the block. Make sure ain't nobody following you. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know if that ever goes away. It hasn't gone away from me, but I think having people around you who recognize it and can pull you back into the moment is important. Like, my wife is really good at that. I got a couple friends down in Atlanta that have been really good at kind of, they see it. Because when they describe it, I see it with you, but I don't see it with myself. Like, I see when your brain kicks in, that reptilian, and you kind of like, all right, spidey senses is tingling. It's time to fortify. What's going on?
Right.
I don't see it with myself.
I 100% see it.
But I see it with you. I can just, like, it'll be a sound and you'll just.
Right.
And, we already 10 steps ahead. I don't
know. Are you hearing
away.
this?
I don't know if it ever goes away, but I think having people around you who recognize it as protectors and providers, like, you're at the club.
Yeah, I'm definitely
I'm not at the club. And even if I'm physically there, I'm not at the club. I got to make sure I know where my exits are. I'm checking to see whose hands is in whose pockets. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on all of that, and it's exhausting.
For sure.
And maybe there's a therapy out there that can help us work through that, but I haven't found it yet. But I have recognized that having a daughter and animals help pull me out of those moments, because I'll be in it. Like, riding around Atlanta with my daughter. First, let me say I'm not moving like a civilian. If you find yourself in a situation with me in traffic, you have a real situation. For real. But then I'll turn around and she'll look at me and start laughing at me, and it snaps me out of it. And I'm like, all right, cool. So those are good moments. I think that's the beauty of dogs and kids, is that they remind us of the purest parts of ourselves. They admire us. They love us for that. And we're able to kind of engage that, because there's nothing more fun to me than putting on some sweatpants and a t-shirt and just getting on the ground with her and crawling around. And, she squeezed a whole applesauce down my shirt like 3 days ago. And I don't think I've laughed that hard in my life.
Really?
Bro, like, I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. And she was kind of looking at me, but she had the thing and it looked like she was going to hug me. And I'm like, yo, I'm about to get my first hug. And she just, and all of it went down my shirt. And she just erupted in laughter. And I couldn't, like, I was laughing so hard I couldn't, like, I was changing her diaper one time, and it was almost like she looked at me and she looked away and she looked at me again and she smiled, and then she just peed over the whole desk, the whole table, and didn't care. And then I'm like, am I supposed to be upset right now? Because this is hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know why it's hilarious, but it was hilarious. Like, she gave, she's chewing this cucumber stick that I cut her, and she looked at it and looked at me and threw it to Crixus. And he just chomped it. And I'm like, oh, so that's what we doing now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Those moments are great. So being honest with your people about it, transparent so that they can recognize when you're in that moment and just redirect it. And the cool thing about being an adult and having resources is, like, maybe a week ago, I was having a moment. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I drove by this like frozen yogurt place. And I pull up and I try to open the door and it's locked. She's like, oh, we open in an hour. And I was like, I'll pay you double if you let me in. She's like, come on.
Right.
So I'm in there eating frozen yogurt at 11 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, just because I can. Like, I can go by any restaurant I want and I can eat there. If I see some shoes I want, I can get them. And it's superficial, but when you were getting clothes out of a lost and found at a Boys and Girls Club, being able to do that means something.
Right.
And like, I don't feel bad about those things. I think society would have you feel like you're being superficial and you should feel bad. And why? Like, I can afford to say to my wife, take the day off and send her to a spa and then to get her nails done and then down the street for some gourmet cookies. Why would I not do that? Like, so those moments are important. Being able to take care of the people around me brings me a ton of joy. So even right now, we come in here, you just gave us what, like $200 each of American licorice. That, I'm sure that felt good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure it feels great inviting people to come by your office to do a podcast.
Right.
I'm sure it feels great being able to offer people free plane tickets. Like, when I saw your pictures and videos from the NFL draft, I thought about all the homies we had who wanted to go to the NFL, killed themselves to go to the NFL and didn't go. They were so myopic and thinking the only way they could show up to the NFL draft was as a draftee. You showed up and probably made as much money as the majority of the people who were there by invitation and not as a football player.
Right.
You're giving a whole new perspective on what success means and showing people that you can be something other than what they put in front of you.
And I've noticed that, and it's interesting that you even bring that to light, because I think for the people that aren't around my day-to-day operations and seeing how hard it is that I do work and the lack of sleep, if I get 4 hours of sleep, I'm good. I'm good to do whatever we need to do for however long. So when we're at the draft, Allegiant was nice enough to fly some of my friends out to help me out, like in film stuff. And there is a distinct difference between a person that says who they actually are versus a person that actually just does it without saying anything.
Right.
And this entrepreneurship world that I live in, it's not as hard as I expected it to be.
Oh, ain't nobody trying to kill you. The FBI ain't kicking in no doors. Ain't no DEA.
Right.
Ain't no ATF. I was just telling Ellen this on the way here. Like, it's really like beat the nerds.
That's it.
And like, even if we have a bad day, right? A bad day in our old life, you're not making it home. Right? And you're going to be that guy. Man, I was just with him yesterday.
Right.
A bad day here, like, go home and take a shower and we try again tomorrow. Like, this is a layup. That's why I be telling these guys, like, look, just stop, bro. You don't really want my life. You're too comfortable.
Yeah.
You go on vacations, you play video games. You don't really want this life. You're torturing yourself pretending like you want to be Norris Frederick, pretending like you want to be John Anthony. You don't really want that because it's available to you and there's nothing preventing you from doing that. But this time is when I got to remind my wife. She called me earlier today, like, she got some stuff going on at work and like, she's a big consultant. She's in law school. She got a lot going on. And I had to remind her, it's you versus the nerds. Sweetheart, you're going to be all right. Like, you inherited a maniac with your husband.
Right.
He'll do anything for you. And then everybody I got behind me, it's just you versus the nerds.
That's it.
So ask them what they want you to do and let's get to it, because you're never by yourself. Not in this group. And ain't nobody, you know what I mean? Like, the worst thing, somebody gonna get online and say some goofy stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you ugly, or you're selfish, or your candy's gross. Like, what are you gonna say to us? What do you mean? We got botulism from eating our dinner out of cans. We had to go to school and lie about why we were sick.
For sure.
Remember that?
I do.
We were sick because we were eating out of cans. We got botulism. What can you say to me today that's going to break my spirit?
Right.
You don't know what I've been through, and you know in your heart you wouldn't have survived it.
Mm-mm.
So just stand next to me, bro. You know what I mean? What do they call that backdraft when somebody running? You know what I mean? Is that what they call it in track? Yeah, just stand behind me and catch some of this. Because there's actually a win in being second, third, fourth. Like, you still get on the podium on second and third.
Right.
But quit pretending like you're ready to sacrifice to be on that number one spot, because you're not.
It's so weird. And I know I can have this conversation with you. When I got done with sport and then I start filtering in to the spaces that I'm in now, why does it seem like the world slowed down?
Bro, I told people when you got into this space, told everybody when you got your first camera, like, yo, he gonna be about to be a problem. Y'all better get on board. You know what I mean? If y'all really trying to do this, because as soon as he get the camera in his hands, knowing that the universe is a hey Siri away and he can have any teacher he want, right? That's what YouTube and all this shit is for me. Like, excuse my language. That's what it is for me, is at any point in time, I can convene with a world-renowned expert. And you think you're going to beat me.
Right.
Right? Like, I knew it. I told everybody, yo, y'all better figure it out. Find a way to get involved. Start working on your skills. I remember having that conversation with Nate. Like, look, bro, the internet is in your pocket. You got a supercomputer in your pocket. Start developing skills now, because he's going to be a whole problem with this camera.
It's funny that you say that. So, like, as we travel all over the place, we're in these spaces where I'm by no means an expert when it comes to, like, knowing what a camera can do. But I can promise you one thing. You will never outwork me.
Never.
If I see something that I like, I become obsessed with it to the point where it's almost like bad. So you'll always see me at the end of that finish line, regardless on whatever it is that you think. So what I've noticed is with this camera stuff, people will be like, yeah, I've been shooting for 30 plus years and this and that. And it's a good conversation to have. But then they're like, well, how about you? Like, I've been shooting for a little bit. I just got into photography a year and a half ago.
Right.
And we've been selling prints like hotcakes.
Oh, I think that comes from our relationship with failure. That was one of the cool things your pops taught us. Was that failure was something to be utilized, not something to be afraid of. You know, think about when we had a bad game, basketball. We came home and we shot, and not because dad was mad at us. We came home and, like, you missed the free throw. Man. Like, let's go shoot some free throws.
Right.
And we'd have to figure it out. You know, you lost a high jump. All right, we got to figure it out. And, like, so our relationship with failure is almost like we welcome it, where I think a lot of people are afraid of it. And because that's where you get the best education from, is your failures. Like, I remember doing a book report on Dyson, the vacuum company.
Vacuum.
Dude had like 500,000 failures, right? And when you buy a Dyson vacuum, they send that story. I remember Nana buying a Dyson vacuum and getting that story and reading it and being like, oh my God. I'm like, Thomas Edison, all these guys that just fail on repeat. And then Michael Jordan came out with that commercial about all the shots he had missed. You know, I've missed over 10,000 shots in my career. So I think our relationship with failure is just different. We're actively out there trying to make it happen. And with what you're doing with the film and the photography, I don't think you need to be a master as much as you need to understand the people.
Right.
And when you understand the people, when you understand their hopes and their dreams, then really the camera is just a tool to help you.
That's all it's been.
Articulate that. And I think there are a bunch of people out there who've mastered the mechanics of the camera and don't understand the people, and their content doesn't resonate. Their pictures don't touch you.
We'll be right back. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break.
Looking to start a podcast, live stream, make a presentation, or perform on stage? Samson has all the gear you need to help you become a successful content creator. To learn more, visit samsontech.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Embracing the Journey podcast. Let me ask you this, and keep it a full stack with me. Do you think that you're successful?
No. I think I got more resources these days, but I don't feel it like I see some of the people around me feeling it. Like people come to my house, and my house look like I played in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy I have it. I love it. My daughter's getting everything. Like, I love it. But when it's just me alone, you know, laying in the bed looking at the ceiling before I go to sleep, I don't feel successful. Nah. That's probably not good.
No, because I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Are you afraid, and I'll say this on my behalf, I'm afraid to admit the things that I've done that people may view as success because I don't want to get complacent, or I don't want to take up the majority of the space in the room. Is that how you are?
Generally, yeah. I think that comes from not having a whole lot, and then survivor's guilt. And then I think success is not things. Because we didn't have things, we couldn't really obsess. I think success for me now is being a great father, being a great husband, being a better brother, being a better son. Like, we're very family oriented little tribe, and I think that when everybody's not on the same page, it gives me anxiety. Like, I shut down when I don't feel like I'm on the same page with my family. And even today at Big Ray's funeral, you know, we all broke down because, you know, Nell and Ray are your brothers as much as I'm your brother. You know, it all started with us.
Right.
Everything else that happened is a derivative. It started with us, with that nucleus of people. And, you know, I've been detached from those guys for like a decade. You know, we got a whole homie with Alex, and we don't really know his daughter. That bothers me a lot. And then your pops not being here, I think, weighs heavy on me, because he would have lost his mind.
It would have never been like this.
It would have been like, you couldn't tell him nothing about us when we was just star athletes.
Right.
He would have went crazy. He would, like, it would have been, you know.
I had a conversation with
everything.
Right. I had a conversation with Uncle Daryl about a month ago. We were sitting at breakfast, and he said, "I'm proud of you guys." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Y'all are relentless." And I'm thinking to myself, like, And then he was like, "Y'all never gave up on anything." As kids, if someone were to tell me that all four of you guys were still going to be living, I'd have said, nah, we're going to at least lose one of them. But the fact that all four of you guys are here and thriving, unheard of, because you guys actually in real life got it out the mud.
Like for real. And he helped, you know? Like, he didn't have to do none of the things he did. I think he set the precedent on what an uncle could be. Like, he gave us money, take us school shopping. You know, once he started having his paper, we had more shoes than anybody in the neighborhood.
Right.
And that was important for kids who were getting clothes out of the lost and found at one point to now have the latest shoes, the greatest shoes. You know, I think him doing it made it real for me. I don't know if you remember, he had that white Cadillac on Dana Danes, the gold joints. I remember when he pulled up, and like all my friends, it was like a god got out of the car. Like, he had the jewels, he got out the white caddy, and like it became real for me at that moment. I was like, I can have that. You know what I mean? Because he's just like me. I can have that. And before that, it was always a pie in the sky.
Right.
But when he got it, I was like, all right, it's real. That means I can get it. So a lot of that relentlessness comes from us being around him and watching him. because he didn't have to do none of that. And like, you know, our mom is amazing, but she can be challenging at times, and he still would come through. So I think, you know, he ain't wrong though. Like when I hear people brag about the projects and all of this, you know, there was I'm not even gonna say that part, but there was a little gang or something that was calling themselves, naming themselves after a project, low income or something. Like, it makes me wonder if he was really there, because our situation was bad. And we did. I mean, it was relentless. Mom was relentless. Uncle Daryl's relentless. Like, everybody we around kind of gave us a little bit. But success, I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't think it's financial. For a long time, I thought it was financial.
Me too.
I don't think it's financial. I think it's, and especially having gone to Big Ray's funeral today, it was packed. And everybody got up and talked about how amazing of a person he was, and how amazing of a father he was, and how amazing of a husband he was. And I guess it's possible everybody was there capping. I think it's more likely he was just a really amazing person. And I would like that to be what people say at the end of my life. I'd like that to be what people say at the end. You know, I'd like for people to view us that way, as capable, competent men who treated people well, were fair, and left the world better than they found it. So I'm extremely proud of everybody. You know, even mom, like mom had to separate herself, like sever herself from everything she knew and everybody she knew to move us to a different neighborhood, to give us different opportunities. Everybody, mom ain't do that. And you can see it. You can see the moms who stayed. You can see the moms who kept partying, the moms who stayed outside. Our mom didn't do that. Like, she got us out of that. She went and got a job and kept that job for over 20 years. And like, that's not small either. Like, can you name another mom who did that? Because when I think about all of the homies' moms, everybody, I can't.
Me neither.
I can't name anybody who got sober and then stayed sober, never had no relapses, and like built a life that worked for her in that context. So yeah, I think relentless is probably a characteristic of all of us. I think all of us have that.
I love that. If you could look back, knowing what you know now, looking back at yourself as a kid, what would you tell yourself?
I got the worst advice I ever got from a teacher named Rick. I won't say his last name because he's still a teacher now. But he said to me, never change. So if I could look back and give myself any advice, it would be stick to your guns. Trust yourself. I think that was always one of my biggest strengths, but there was moments where people would say things that would plant little seeds of doubt. And there would be moments where it felt real to me, you know, what they were saying. And I get it. And maybe on some level, that's what we're dealing with, is in order to climb out of what we climbed out of, it actually required imposter syndrome to be wearing somebody else's clothes, eating dinner out of a can, sitting on a floor that has sewage coming up through it, and still believe that you both deserve better and will have better, requires you to be a crazy person. So having survived on imposter syndrome for so long while we were working to materialize it, there's still now like, am I an imposter? You know what I mean? I have those moments like, is this all fake? There's moments where, you know, I got the deed to my house laminated and I got it in a safe. And there's times when I pull it out just to make sure it's real, that it's still there. You know, I bought my wife this ring. It's a cashmere sapphire. And like, there's times when I pull it out, because the first ring I got her came out of a candy machine, like a movie. So there's times when I hold the candy machine one and the cashmere sapphire and be like, yo, this shit is real. I need those moments, because there's times when I'm just not sure. Even now, they've named me the training director of this working dog center at a university. So the idea that I'm teaching police and future FBI agents, how to be better police. Not necessarily how to be police, but how to be better police, how to understand the people that you're there to help, but also how to understand the other side that you're up against. There's moments where I feel like there's no way I should be in this position. You know what I mean? Like, I know all the traffickers. I know all the homeless people. I know all the prostitutes by name. You know what I mean? And a lot of them know me. They know my grandmama. Like, they know everybody. And I think about that when I'm in these meetings, like, damn, am I really supposed to be here? But I always knew it was going to be this. Now it's just the process of embracing it, embracing myself, loving myself, embracing the moment, and like taking advantage of it. Because, of course, I'm supposed to be here.
Right. That's a good way to look at that. Man, say something to my niece, man, so she can see this in years to come. And look into this joint right here.
Look at that camera right there. I'm going to say your whole name, Genesis Ahava Anahita. Your family loves you. You've got great examples. We have set the stage for you to be able to do whatever you want. Not what we want, but whatever you want. And you inherited 200 people who will scorch the earth for you. People who will do anything for you at any time. So never feel like you're alone. Never feel like, I named you Genesis because you're the beginning of something new. Your name is Ahava because that's the commandment to love, both to receive it and to give it. And Anahita is the goddess, the most important goddess in Persian culture. So you have a name that set the stage for you to be able to change the world doing whatever you want. And I hope that you will take advantage of that opportunity.
I love that. This is another episode of Embracing the Journey podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys soon.